separate these. Just speak amongst yourselves while I do that. It's actually this part of my routine. I look in the back of the crowd. All the people with their arms crossed looking at me like they can do this. That's all right, not impressed by it. We'll go to something a little more strength-oriented. I actually like to refer to this next skill. It is the hurts my arms a lot trick. Looks like this. That'll stretch you, people. How about a dedication specifically to the men in the crowd? This is one I don't enjoy, but for some reason you guys do. I'd like to call this next skill the obviously named and appropriately named reason I don't have kids. Example of my pain being your pleasure. Wasting no time to a skill I like to call simply, I can't breathe, so if you're going to applaud, you better do it now. You bear with me, I've got to rest for a second. To the more risky and the more daring of skills, I also replace light bulbs around the ship. Olympic gymnast, not Olympic comedian, all right, guys? I'm a two-time United States Olympian. It's unpatriotic not to laugh at my jokes. Hey, and for all you Canadians, I'm wearing your colors. All right. Bear with me, I'll be down in just 1 minute. I have to make sure I wrap this up properly to the obviously named one leg hang like this. I'll give a little more insight into this skill. You can see there's a tremendous amount of pressure on that one foot. My entire body weight is dangling from that foot. But as long as I wrap that foot correctly, it doesn't hurt my foot. If I wrap it incorrectly, it really hurts my head. You're about 6 seconds behind, guys. This time I'm a routine. I like a little private time. Because when I itch any itches or make any adjustments, I have to make. That's the problem with tight-fitting clothing. Are you guys getting any of this? All right, getting out of this gracefully should hopefully look something like this. Give you a little more insight into what a typical day of training is like before the Olympics. On a typical day, you go in the gym around 9 o'clock in the morning. You start with a stretch program. Why, that's so funny. We train really hard. Getting up in the morning, that's the hardest part for me, trust me. Anyway, we start with a stretch program. We do the first 3 events. In men's gymnastics, that's floor exercise, the pommel horse, and rings. Do our routines over and over tens of times, and end with a strength program. Take a break for lunch, come back in the afternoon for another 3-hour workout. It's roughly 6 hours of training in that day. But again, in the afternoon, start with stretch, routines over and over on vaulting, parallel bars, and high bar, and ending with strength again, all with one goal in mind. And that goal is to make the most difficult skills in the world look as easy as possible. When I got into entertainment, the goal became make the easiest skills look as difficult as possible. People, this is a gymnastics rope. This stuff is very difficult, very dangerous. I'll give an example of just how dangerous this can be. When I was recently in Mexico, performing this very same routine, I had a bunch of kids come up and start beating me with sticks. You know, you're 2 seconds behind, but you are catching up. I come from a mixed marriage. My mom is Catholic and my dad is a bat. I know. 10 years old, that's how old I was when I started gymnastics. I was a very hyperactive kid, like a lot of kids you might know, or even have. Now, when I first started the sport of gymnastics, I wasn't used to, thank you. Now, I wasn't used to being upside down so often. I actually had a major problem with all the blood rushing to my head every time I went upside down. The problem got so bad I had to see a doctor about it. The doctor said he could help some of the blood from rushing to my head, so he prescribed Viagra. That's as risque as I get, people, all right? I'm going to boast here a little bit. By now, you know I've been on 2 Olympic teams. 1988 was Seoul, Korea. 1992 was Barcelona, Spain. Been to the White House 3 times, met 2 presidents, been on 3 world championship teams. I'm a world champion on the high bar, a member of the United States Gymnastics Hall of Fame. More recently, I started making my living wrapping myself in drapery. I also moonlight as a coat hanger. So I have a question for everybody. I know we have a lot of repeat cruisers. That's people that almost cruise professionally. They know how to cruise and they've done several cruises throughout their life. But of course, many of you are probably new to cruising. Either way, this question pertains to everybody. And that question is, have you guys eaten well so far on your cruise?